Cloudcast Media.
Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
I'm Drew Schlosberg with Cloudcast Media, so pleased to have a return appearance from Project Next. Joining us is Lisa Stout, Executive Director. How you doing, Lisa?
Great. How are you today?
Nice to see you again.
Thank you.
And brought in another Project Next ambassador, Adela Sanchez, a recent high school graduate. How you doing, Adela?
Good. How are you?
When did you graduate from high school?
Just this June. Yeah.
Beautiful. What school?
Mission Hills High School.
Mission Hills High School, very good, up in North County. And what did you love most about your high school years?
I would say spending my time in the Future Center, forming that connection with my career coach those last 2 years really made an impact and a difference on knowing what I wanted to do. And then also just all the connections that I formed throughout high school and meeting new people, going to different events, stuff like that.
So how did it shape what you're going to do next? What's your next chapter? We were talking about it before you got on the air.
Yes, I'm going to go to Palomar College for 2 years, and then I plan on transferring to Cal Poly SLO to major in business administration. Right,
but didn't you say you wanted to make wine in Europe?
Yeah, that's part of the plan too.
That's part of the plan. Is that going to happen before you go to Palomar or after you go to Palomar?
Before.
All right, well, maybe, who knows? Maybe they can offer a winemaking class on this. Lisa, talk a little bit about the mission of Project Next.
Our mission is to help high schoolers plan and prepare for their best next step, whatever that may be. So whether it's college or trade schools or the workforce, we want students to understand who they are, what their options are, and then make a well-informed choice for their next step.
Yeah, how'd you get involved in this?
Well, I was a high school counselor for 20 years, and I became a counselor because I was one of those students that needed the support. And through my years as a counselor, just realized how much is expected of the schools and how just they have a huge need. And so there was this gap that I saw year after year, and it was very frustrating. And there was this opportunity to join this organization. It was not Project Next at that time. We've kind of transformed from what was the San Marcos Promise, but we rebranded a couple years ago, changed our mission, and really we are filling that void and partnering with schools to help students. And that's kind of how it happened. Just seeing the need as a school counselor myself with a caseload of 500 plus students every year.
Yeah, one of the organizations I've been working with very closely, I'm not sure if you know them, it's called Journeys Map. And so I've been working with them since 2014. They presented at the White House during Michelle Obama's Reach Higher. And of course, and a lot of it was motivated by what you were up against. You got to see 500 students. They maybe during their high school career saw the counselor twice. And it is impossible for a counselor to know all the different trends and all this stuff. And so it's spot on. And I think one of the things I love what you folks do is you actually listen to what the students are interested in, correct? Talk about that.
Absolutely. Yeah, a lot of students don't even know. They've never been asked, these questions that our career coaches are asking. So our career coaches can spend the time with the students and ask them questions that they've never even thought about. And for some students that think they know, maybe they just haven't been exposed to other things. So it kind of runs the whole gamut. But speaking of Journeys Map, not to change the subject, we're actually going to be partnering with Journeys Map this year.
I think that's great.
Yeah, and using Journeys Map in our future centers to help just as a tool, to leverage what our career coaches are doing with students. But yeah, really, when students are passionate about something, it connects them to what they're learning every day, gets them to want to come to school and to see a future. And so that's really where we start because that's most important. Gets the students excited about something.
Absolutely. Full disclosure, I always do this. I do consult for Journeys Maps. I just wanted to make sure that was on the table in that aspect of it. So, Adela, when you when working with as an ambassador for Project Next, okay, we're going to put you on the spot, but you know how to handle this because you're an ambassador. What would you tell somebody that is exploring why Project Next is so important to get engaged with. What would you say?
Yes, I guess in the scenario that they already know what Project Next is, I would kind of just explain what it has done for me as a student. So kind of before Project Next, I didn't have any connections. I didn't really know how to get into putting myself out there, and I was very shy and a timid person. But then I think my sophomore year going into my junior year, I got an email talking about a program they have, which is Ready. And then, so that kind of put my foot in the door, and, I did that program and stuff like that. And I got to make all those new connections. And I'd like to say after that, I kind of transformed and I was more outgoing, and just being in that program alone too, it helped me realize how many different industries there are, how many different like connections you could make and stuff like that. So it really helps students, put themselves out there, learn from different people, and then just hear about their journeys. And it's very impactful, especially for students like me who are first generation and don't really have those connections, don't know how to make them. It helps also my kind of students and just students who just want to know about different careers and things like that.
Well, as you've learned, and you're very well spoken, obviously it gave you confidence. You do a great job, and great ambassador, no pun intended, on that as well. But it gives you confidence, and everything in this world is tied to relationships. It's as simple as that. And the relationship you made and your high school, who knows where that's going to pay off in 5 years, 10 years, and all that business. And Lisa, talk a little bit about how important it is for students to understand that networking and keeping in touch with folks and making sure that there's a connection doesn't fizzle away.
It's so important. And these are the things, everything that we are doing in the Future Center are skills that students need no matter where they go, no matter what route they choose after high school, networking being one of them. And, a lot of times people say, oh, they'll learn that in college. Well, what if, they don't end up going that route, right? Everybody should learn these skills. And to Adela's point, a lot of the students that we work with don't have those networks, but they don't even realize they don't have those networks. I was one of those students as well. And it's the simple things, it's the little things, but it's the connections that they make. Our 3 C's that we say, when you said her confidence, it made me smile because we talk about clarity, students knowing who they are, understanding who they are, and understanding their options. Confidence, the confidence to pursue that with passion, with enthusiasm, and being proud of their choice. If it's not college, that's okay, as long as they chose it. And the third one being the connections, back to the networking, is huge. And so that's something that we teach. That's something that our partners help us with. We call them next working events, but we go out to different companies and bring students there. They come dressed up with clothes through our career closet if they need them, but just learning how to interact with a person, have a conversation, learn about their journey. The students walk in so... You can see they're timid, they're afraid, they've not done this before, and they walk out. You can see the confidence in their face. They might have a business card. Sometimes they get offered an internship, and just learning organically the power of networking and connections is huge. And then I'm going to say the follow-up piece that we teach our students, which is really important: how to write a professional email, how to thank somebody or let them know something that they told you that's going to stick with you. Writing a handwritten thank you note. All of those little things make our students stand out, and it makes us really proud. So.
Yeah, you're so spot on that. And in this world, when I was Adela's age, the baler was running water, for God's sake. Well, not quite that old, but not that old. But that being said, now there's a lot of tools for us to be able to make that connection, and standing out is so critical in this day and age when you're bombarded by 4 billion communication messages every nanosecond in this. So I think that is absolutely so spot on that. And talk about the follow up, Adela. So now you've met somebody, okay, whether it's at who knows, at the foundation or it's at a business up in the North County. How quickly do you follow up with the person with a thank you? Is it do you wait a while, or you do it almost instantly?
Almost instantly. They give us the thank you cards.
That's right.
The envelopes every time. So when we're done with the event, or talking with somebody, we would go and get the envelope and then write it right then and there. And yeah.
That is huge. And, again, for some of our listeners going, handwritten. I've heard that once before back in the day. You talk about standing out, and then that person is going to, remember you. And that is the importance of that. And staying in touch. I think one of the biggest misnomers from young folks, obviously Project Next helps you with this, is thinking, who's going to care about me? This business person, are they going to hear about important that this is in my life? I go, you better believe it. We love to hear from young folks that have an idea of where they want to go and all that business, whether they do that or not. Have you found that they are really receptive to your ideas?
Yes, yeah, definitely. I actually had met somebody at GAFCON, and even though the career that she has wasn't something that I wanted to pursue, she connected me with the person that is in charge of their HR. And I was able to have a Zoom meeting with her, and she gladly, scheduled a meeting with me and, talked to me and spent that time of her day just to talk to me outside of the event, after.
Right. We're going to return after a short break with Lisa Stout, Executive Director of Project Next, joined by our very cool ambassador, Adela Sanchez. I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show. We are the nation's longest running community podcast. We're in our 19th year, brought to you by the fine folks of Mission Fed Credit Union, 6 decades of doing great things in San Diego County, food insecurity, financial literacy, art, you name it, they're heavily involved. We're going to be right back for some more cool conversation with our friends from Project Next after this short message.
When you do your banking with Mission Fed, you get great rates on auto and home loans. That's good for you, but something good also happens for a lot of other people. We're not for profit, so we put money back into the community to help lots of great nonprofits to keep San Diego strong. So you're not just getting something good, you're doing something good. Come to Mission Fed. It's banking that's good for all.
Brand amplification is the DNA of Cloudcast Media, and our code is the powerful blending of sound, voice, and storytelling to lift local brands and their communities. Whether it is our Brandcast, Schoolcast, or Causecast platforms, the unifying ethos is all about this community, the one you call home. If you dare to dream and want to explore the brand amplification of Cloudcast, a national leader in local podcasting and other Winfluence strategies, please visit us at cloudcast.us.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. We have in the studio a return appearance by Lisa Stout. She's the Executive Director of Project Next, joined by her Project Next ambassador, Adela Sanchez, who's going to be heading out to do some winemaking, we think, over in Europe possibly, but looking to do some work in Palomar College and then go to Cal Poly Slow down the road. Talk about this new expansion. You're going to 2 new schools.
Yeah. We maybe next time we come back, I will announce which ones they are. We're still working on our MOUs, but we are excited. We're at 5 high schools right now.
Spoiler alert. Okay.
Spoiler alert.
Okay.
No, this is okay. No, this is okay. We're going to be in two more high schools this fall. So we'll be in five high schools throughout North County. We're so excited.
Good. We'll break that news once it's all squared away. But talk about a little bit, Lisa. What do you do when you're in a school? What does that look like?
So we work with the district office to create an MOU, right? I think the thing that makes us most unique is we establish what are called future centers. So they're physical spaces that are located on high school campuses, but they're designed by students. So every future center looks very different. It reflects the school community, the wider community. And so they work with an architect from Qualcomm as one of our volunteers to create this space that's welcoming, that's going to draw their peers in. And once they're there, we staff a full-time career coach. And we also have a financial aid coach in each of our future centers. So we are a presence Monday through Friday from 8 to 4 at every single future center. a person dedicated to meeting with students. There's walk-in services, so any student on campus can come into the Future Center for a variety of services. And then we have a targeted program. It's a 2-year program for students who are furthest from opportunity. And the counselors and teachers help us identify those students who need those intensive services the most. And then we have a lot of different events that we host. We take students out to next working events and things that we were mentioning. But really, it's that full-time person, that presence on campus that I think makes us unique and creates that trust and rapport with students and staff, where we're able to really meet students where they're at, literally and figuratively, through our Future Centers.
Yeah, let me ask you this, Adela, and you can jump in on it too. Lisa, since you're working with Journeys on this, did you do any type of an interest survey? Did you fill out any type of, I know our good friends, Peter Sibley and Journeys use the RISEC and Holland interest survey. Heaven forbid we actually focus on what the student's interested in. What a shock that is. We've been knowing this since people were walking upright, but it only took us about 2,000 years to get to this point. Talk about that interest survey.
Yeah, so I took a survey kind of like that, where it asked me like different questions. I think 50 different questions.
Right.
Kind of rating things like, how would you feel about doing this? How would you feel about doing that? And then at the end of the survey, it would kind of tell you maybe 4 or 5 different letters that kind of...
RISEC, yeah, right, yeah. Exactly. And then it would line that up with based on what your interest is, at this point in time, here are some jobs that would be of interest of yours, right?
Yes.
What did yours come up with?
So mine came up with, I think some of my letters were enterprising,
yep.
social, and then artistic, and then I forgot what the other one was.
I think you were conventional.
Oh yeah, conventional.
Right.
And then the jobs that were listed under were kind of like business related, so accounting, and then I think I had like counseling in there, and things that I was interested in and kind of resonated with me.
Right. So when you take that survey again in 2 years, it may change. Okay. And that's the beauty of this, is that interests do change in this aspect of it. But no matter what, it changes. The things you're learning through Project Next, the networking, the relationships, the communication, doesn't make a difference what you're doing. It's just absolutely, so critical in this area. Do you work a lot on different types of communication styles in Project Next?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I was going to say, back to the interest surveys.
Yeah.
I think the critical piece to that, because when I was a counselor, we would do that as well. And
that's right.
Students can take it on their own. I mean, there's a lot of them out there.
And there are.
But the important piece is having somebody to unpack it with you, right? To sit down and explain what that means. Because sometimes, I remember doing that in high school too. And actually, nonprofit executive was one of mine. I was, what is that?
Are you serious?
No, I'm serious. Yeah, I'm serious. And I was like, I don't even know what that is. So, as was a counselor. But,
right.
A lot of times students will get something from that, but they don't understand it's not necessarily that job, but it's what characteristics, all of those things. It's important to sit down, and that's what our career coaches can do. But communication styles. Sorry.
The people communicate in different ways, right? They can orally, they're good in writing, they're good in, pick a topic on this. And some people have a comfort zone of doing X, and some people have a comfort zone of doing Y in this area. But to me, the most important thing about communication is something we are pitiful at, and that is listening. We're good at hearing. We can hear a lot of stuff. But to be successful, especially what you're talking about with networking, you have to listen. And when you listen, that means you can't be thinking about 75 other things when someone's talking to you. Talk about that.
Absolutely. Well, and that's, again, the reason for our career coaches is having that person there to listen to a student. A lot of times, high school students don't feel heard. And... And they need that person, and our career coach is that person for a lot of students. And so, but to your point, also teaching them back, yes, the importance of listening as they are going out into the world and becoming professionals themselves.
I think one of the things I get to, and I have done a lot of work with the Classroom of the Future Foundation, which Peter Sibley's been, shoulder to shoulder with. And our focus is college and career. And that's up to the student. If they want to go to college, that's fine, but should be something that they, at least taking the courses to do that. But, if they don't go to college, so be it, in that aspect of it. Has college always been on your mind? You said that you're first gen, correct?
Yes.
Right. So is that something that was encouraged by your family?
It was definitely encouraged by my family, but also I think it was just something that I felt like I had to do. I kind of owed it to my parents to, go above and beyond, take the next steps and get my education, especially because they didn't have the opportunity themselves to have an education. So I kind of just always had that as a motivator, and we kind of drove me to work hard. And, I think before middle school, I didn't take it as seriously. But then going into high school, I realized, okay, like I have to work hard and I have to, maintain my grades, get that 4.0 so that I can ultimately go to college and, do something and live a better life than, they gave me a good life, but I know that they want something even better for me so that I could give to my kids.
Yeah, no, I think, when you're very poised, and obviously Project Next and yourself personally gets a lot of, credit for that aspect of it. That is, so much of the deal is when you listen to someone, you're looking at me in the eyes, you're poised, you're listening, A+ Project Next for doing this, and so forth. And obviously you had it within you to do this. But would you say that the thing that you have learned the most is how to communicate with business folks? Is that number one, or are there other things?
I would say that is definitely number one, and just like having the confidence to be in that space and area, because I think a lot of students are self-conscious, or they put barriers up like, oh, I don't think I can do that, or I'm not ready enough, or I'm not prepared. And just being able to work with Project Next and go to different events gave me that exposure and comfort. And, I do belong in these environments and I can talk to these people.
So I'm a former journalist, and so obviously asking questions is what you have that in your DNA. Now I drove people crazy when I was little because I wanted to be a sports writer, and I became a sports writer, and then I worked for the newspaper first on the editorial side and then on the business side. But Lisa, talk about do you folks work with the students and let them know about how asking questions and question generation is very important to getting the answers of where you want to go?
Absolutely. And not being afraid to ask the questions. And there are no dumb questions. Yes. And what she said right there just made me so happy and proud that our students, back to the confidence piece, they belong in these spaces. And we want them to believe that themselves and to feel that. But part of that is getting over the fear, right? When you're walking in a room of these professionals, it is very intimidating for a lot of our students. But once they start talking to them and asking the questions and learning about their journeys, they realize, they're just people too.
100%.
We are all people. We all started somewhere and have, worked our way up to wherever we are. But it's through those conversations and asking those questions where you can humanize that aspect for the students, and then that helps them with the confidence and, she said, feeling and knowing that they belong in these spaces wherever they end up. So that's just, that made me so proud.
Well, I think, one, and I'm sure Adela's already figured this out, is that folks that are, whether they're CEOs or EVPs, they love to be asked questions about their job or what they're doing or what they're passionate about. Who doesn't want to talk about that aspect of it? So when you do that, that's the first icebreaker in the world. Who doesn't want to chat about that? I'll start with you on this, Adela. Our listeners have been doing this stuff for 19 years, and they're very focused on giving back and all that. What can they do to help support other Project Next ambassadors?
Yeah, I would say just being there at events, volunteering, giving their time of day to interact with students and kind of share a part of their journey, share, what their career entails and, kind of what they do day to day, or giving students the opportunity to shadow them, especially that's like really important. So yeah, I would say just, putting themselves out there and like giving students a time of day to interact and learn from them.
Yeah, very articulate. Lisa, what can we do for you? What can our listeners do for Project Next?
We have lots of ways to get involved. And as we expand, as I mentioned, we'll be in 7 high schools, over 11, close to 12,000 students. So time, talent, and treasure, right? It's all about all three. And we can use all of it. And we greatly appreciate all of it. So anything, any way that we can get people involved, folks are passionate about our mission. So it's not hard once they meet students like Adela, they want to get involved. So we just invite our supporters and those who are interested to come visit a Future Center, see what we're all about.
That sounds great. What's the website?
projectnext.org.
Very good. Well, Lisa, good seeing you again. We want to plan on continuing getting you on to chat about all the cool things you're doing. I'm going to talk to Peter Sibley as soon as we hang up. I think he's still back east with his 803-year-old mom. I could be wrong on that. Bless her heart and his heart. But I'm going to tell him I didn't realize that you guys were teaming up with him. And Adela, looking forward to tasting some of that wine you're going to be making over the summer, maybe, and wishing you nothing but great success at Palomar College and then later at SLO.
Yes, thank you so much.
And to our listeners, I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. You're listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show. We are the nation's longest-running community podcast, now in our 19th year. And I'm just thrilled as someone just walked into the studio. That's how I started this, with the unbelievable, inimitable Chris Genuine on this aspect of it. And for our listeners, we hope you enjoy this great interview with Project Next.
You've been listening to an episode of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego community. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
Cloudcast Media.